an architect can be many things. In the sense of, I think, what does an architect do? You are an assembler of ideas.
It was kind of amazing how much I actually knew Lynn before I didn't know Lynn, just from being around Indianapolis and all the amazing buildings he had a hand in.
I worked with Lynn Molzan and Partners a number of times. It was my first professional job out of school, and I was hired by Lynn.
Well, I met Lynn through the AIA. We were, what do you want to call it, friendly competitors, I guess. But I think the first encounter was with Lockfield Gardens, in fact, when we were trying to save that back in the late 70s. That's when I met him for the first time.
Once you look around, you're like, oh my goodness, how many buildings that you have driven by, been in, known, seen, admired, that Lynn had touched throughout the city of Indianapolis, and actually throughout almost all of America, but in particular, I mean, he left his stamp and imprint in Indianapolis.
So Lynn Molzan was one of the last sole, strong individual designer-based firms in the figure of Evans Woolen. And Lynn was a perfect foil to Evans. Evans would be eccentric and all about ideas and sort of really off in his own world. Lynn brought reality to it and managed the people that needed to support creating these visions.
His real strength was in the management of the firm and its people. And Evans would not be the success he was without Lynn.
Every Sullivan needs their Adler. Their life, their practice would not be what it is if they did not have that other right hand over here.
You know, the fact that Evans, of all people, made it Lynn Molzan sort of is an indication of how important his presence was to make that firm what it was.
People worked very hard and were very professional, intent on getting it right, and it was a hard-working situation, but there was a lot of play. And there were a lot of cultural elements that Lynn brought into it that made it fun to work there.
I think Dad was somebody whose work really defined him. He was his work and his work was him.
He was always very proud to share his work with us. So I think he would like to be remembered as a very dedicated and successful architect.
I think he would like to feel that he made a difference, you know, that the Old North Side maybe wouldn't be what it is had he not been so passionately involved and dedicated.
The biggest project we had was together, we worked on for about 3 years. A group of us was the Transformation Since 1975, which was the sequel book to Indianapolis Architecture. Lynn was the general manager of the effort. I think it was an important thing to do, and it's a great piece of documentation on Indiana history, I think.
Lynn, to me, is Mr. AIA. The AIA Indiana Gold Medal Award is the highest honor anyone can receive as far as an architect in the state of Indiana. And Lynn certainly is very deserving, and that's a very select crew. He truly earned that gold medal.
When we started working with Lynn on our capital campaign, he came highly recommended to us. You know, we were just starting out thinking about this capital campaign. We knew we had a lot of work to do. We're trying to figure out, well, who would be the right architect for these projects? Because it wasn't starting from scratch. It was designing our loggia, and we wondered if we could do something more creative, brought him in here and we pulled out the original architectural drawings for this chancel, which was designed by Evans Woolen, his former partner, and he just lit up. You just felt like he had gone back. He just felt like, oh, this is a homecoming.
That's one of his kind of one of the last projects he was really involved in, and a special connection for him, I think.
You look at the buildings that he and Evans got to do throughout the entire career, and they just stand the test of time, and they reinforce the city structure. The Central Library, the Federal Building, Barton Towers, Clues Hall, the renovation of the IRT.
He contributed on so many projects. The community definitely is richer, and Lynn had a great hand in bringing those buildings, to life and to reality.
Architects are problem solvers.
An architect is a vision caster.
The simple answer is we design buildings. We're a lot like psychiatrists in that we help people who are having problems with their environment.
The architect comes up with the vision, but it takes an entire team to do a project. So an architect has to be a team player as well.
I've really always admired architecture as a profession. It's such a combination of both sort of scientific and artistic talents.
Well, an architect is one who takes the needs of people for whatever endeavors they're in or what they're trying to do. There's a good deal of intuition, trying to understand human nature. It's not a add them up and divide by n kind of game.
It's this full scope consideration of form and function and how a space will be, used and the emotion that it might evoke by the people in it. I think my dad really liked the projects that were sort of public spaces.
You are handed this potpourri of aspirations, this desideratum you get from clients. You address a myriad of details. What are the materials? How does it fit into the city? Does it serve its purpose well? Is it work that you would be pleased to show a second and third generation away from you?